This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
And now, your host of the Ballsville Game Podcast, Scott Fitzgerald.
Good evening, Ballsville gamers. Welcome to another episode of the Ballsville Pod. I am your host, Scott Fitzgerald, aka Ludes for Sale on Sleeper. And this episode is brought to you by the Ballsville Games. Our games combine fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. Welcome back again, gamers. We have another big show for you guys today. I want to introduce my guests for today. Guest number one is my co-host. He goes by Farmer Sean. He's from LA. What's up, Sean?
Doing good. I'm from Las Vegas, not LA. Thank you very much.
West Coast. There's this intro music. And next guest, he's my neighbor in Tampa, Florida, and one of my best friends. He is the dealer on Sleeper. His name is Ken Moore. What's up, Ken?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
And before I introduce our next guest, my next guest, I want to give a shout out to our producer, Sarah, who's behind the scenes that does all the cool music and the little drops that you guys hear on here on StreamYard. So our next guest he goes by the name El Super Beasto on
there
Sleeper. And his name's
You said
Gary.
it right.
He
For the
lives in
first
Boston.
time.
What's up, Gary?
How's it going, guys?
So Gary, this is the first time you're on the pod. It's long overdue. We've been trying to get you on this pod for so long. So let the listeners know a little bit about yourself, how you got into Ballsville, and maybe what kind of what games you like to play.
Yeah, so I live in Boston, full-time dad. Makes it easy to hop on and play some Dynasty here and there, do a couple drafts. But I actually started last year in Ballsville. I was starting a league, and then somebody was like, hey, you should jump into this like Ballsville league. And I thought it was like, I was like, I don't know, it's like a dragon. I don't know what this is going to be like. But then the draft was fire. All the trades that were going on and all the banter, like it was really good. It was a good experience. And then just the league itself was great. So I actually ended up joining a couple more. The one thing I like about the Ballsville games and what Alex does is it's like a really good group of people. And I think that's like one of the hardest things to curate when it comes to these like public leagues is getting people that are all competitive, but also like have some class and are able to like discuss trades or discuss like opinions in a competitive, but like, just a respectful way. So that's been a really fun part of the experience. And then, yeah, Dynasty is, I love trading. So everybody like in my home leagues knows I love to trade. You guys know I love to trade. I think there's a bit of a thrill with the trade. And sometimes I do it just because I have to admit it. But the Dynasty aspect of that is great because you could find so many trade partners depending on what your strategy is and what somebody else's strategy is. So that's the one thing I really like about Dynasty above all the other options when it comes to fantasy. So really looking forward to seeing how our Dynasty League plays out with the one we're all in. So
yes.
So far, everybody's been very shrewd about trading. Like everybody's holding their cards close. Everybody knows what they're doing. It's no joke. Like you can't just throw out some like, let me tear down and get some other guys kind of thing. Like I've been trying to do with Ken.
Unless your name is Westlex, then it's no problem.
Well, that's good. Well, like I said, welcome to the pod. Like I said, it's been long overdue, and I know I got you lined up for another week sometime in the future. So welcome in, Gary. It's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, by the way.
No problem. So,
Oh, and one more thing. You guys have been doing a great job. Like I've been checking in on all the pods. The pods have been awesome. And I a lot of times I'll check and see like where you guys talk about me, but I also listen to the whole thing. I really like what I love hearing. There's a lot of different opinions on here, very different strategies, and it's really cool, and it all like applies to the actual Ballsville game. So just it's been really cool to listen to you guys. So good work. Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate it, and that's awesome.
I gotta say too, by the way that the screen is set up, I love the fact that the beards are on the first floor and the clean shavens are on the second floor. I think that's a nice little, setup there, Sarah. Way to go.
All right, so we're gonna talk about the Ballsville scoreboard right now, and then we're gonna welcome in some new players. So right now we just finished Division 10, our best ball format. Each division has 8 leagues, so we just finished them all, and they went so fast. They're so much fun to play. Dynasty's pretty much wrapped up for the year. We're definitely going to expand that next year. We're getting a lot of inquiries about that. I was gonna talk to Alex a little bit about maybe getting into some high stakes Dynasty leagues. I haven't really brought that to his attention yet, but I think it would be something pretty cool, depending on how the redraft high stakes leagues are going to do this year. And we right now we already have the low stakes already drafting. Those are the $25 buy-ins. We have 2 mid stakes that are drafting. Those are the $50. Then we have 1 high stakes, which is the platinum $100 redrafts that are already on it, and the second one is already halfway full. So I'm almost positive that after the 4th of July, when everyone's done with their holidays and stuff, it's going to be go time, and people are going to be starting getting in these redraft leagues and really start kicking these off. So and we've already met a bunch of new people into the redraft leagues already, which are great. I told them we'll give them a shout out on the pod. So we got a ticker down below. I'll read off the names when the ticker starts again. The new Ballsville players, we got Twin Sanity, who I played with in many leagues before, a great guy. Finch GT, Short Stack, Mucho, Mr. Been Doing This, Pablo Escobar, great name. The C Show, Rookie 86, Doll Taylor, Blanks 87, Halfman 9,
Blanks.
Level 5 Boss, TJ Zax, I don't even know how to pronounce that one. Sorry. Defilio 2349, Brandon 208, Thymus Popov, Tweezer 024, Backside. Want to welcome all those members into the Ballsville family.
Sorry, I gotta say that's so much fun listening to you try to read all those names.
Yeah, the ticker went like so fast. I'm like, please slow down.
I feel like we need to just leave it that way every week. That part makes it even more fun.
I work on the assembly line for 30 years, and like that's what I felt like. I was on the assembly line, like the car was going, and like I'm trying to get parts on it, it just like keeps going. I'm like, well, screw it, that's going to repair.
We had so many new members this time around too. I was like, this is gonna be great listening.
I love it.
And that's great. I'd rather chase names down because that means we're getting a lot of new players coming in. So we really appreciate all the new players that are coming in. And just let everybody know I'm going on a vacay next week. I won't be here. Sean will be hosting. He will do a great job, and you will not see my bald head next week. You'll have to wait 2 more weeks for that. So,
maybe I'll shave my head so that there's at least one bald head on the show.
Well, I wouldn't go that.
I wouldn't do that. I'll tell you right now, I will not do that. I've done it before. I am not one of those people who has a good looking bald head.
All right. So we're gonna get into some news note Nuggs now. I've got to do the news. All right. So we're gonna start off with the big running back deal. So Ramondre Stevenson signed a huge 4-year. Sean, what was it? 34 mil?
36 mil.
4-year, 36 mil. 4-year, 36 mil. And I've said a few podcasts before, I know the Patriots suck. I know they're not going to score many points, but and I'm not saying pencil this guy in as your RB, 1 or 2, but if you do run a 0 RB build, I think he's going to get so much volume this year. Well over 300 touches. The money speaks for itself. They're going to give him the rock. He's going to run the ball. So is he going to score a lot of touchdowns? I don't know, but he can catch the ball. He can run the ball. It's going to be all Ramondre all day. Hopefully the game script doesn't script him out, but I don't think it will because he does catch a lot of passes. It's a lot's going to depend on quarterback play. I'm going to go to the real Patriot guy because Gary's just a pretend Patriots fan. He's only partly in Boston. I'm going to go right to Ken. And Ken, where does this news help you with drafting Ramondre, or are you still like, I don't want anything to do with this offense?
So I like it because for me, it kind of gives me a peace of mind for the next couple of years for what's going to go on with New England and their running back. He is not an RB1, but I do see him as more of an RB2. And Stevenson is a player that I truly believe is a strong RB2, especially in dynasty formats for me. I will be picking up Stevenson wherever I can because I know for the next 2 or 3 years he's going to be kind of sitting there. Because I see him as the bell back, and Gibson will be the receiving back.
Got you. Okay, we'll slide over to Gary. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, I think I pretty much agree. I'm not super big on him. I probably won't be targeting him still, but I'm like I usually draft closer to 0 RB in Dynasty. So like in Dynasty though, like if he's there at the right price, like I think he's been, do you guys know what round he's been around? Like I want to say like the 8th, 9th ish rounds.
He went at the 7-2 slot in our high stakes draft we're going to talk about later.
7 it depends who's there. Like I don't know if I'd pick him there, but like if he drops like 8, like I think he's a safe running back, right? Like he's, like Ken said, it's going to be a couple years of him with the job, and he's a really good running back. It's just the team's in a weird place. So you never know. I don't know. Like if Drake May hits, like that team could be a lot better than everybody thinks.
I feel like that's it right there. Honestly, that's the deal breaker right there for me, man, as far as the dynasty factor is concerned. Like if Drake may be in there now, give him a year, maybe 2. This guy's on a 4-year deal. Ramondre is going to be getting the load here early to give Drake some time to kind of catch up on things. And I feel like Ramondre now with the 4-year deal and this much of a commitment, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think if Drake May hits, he could look like Ramondre could look like a easy steal halfway into the season. You're just like, oh, okay, this guy, like if the offense is running, then
yeah. If you're getting a solid RB3 at the 7th round, I mean that's not a bad move at all.
So this is a player that I know Scott would probably go after because he's a player that you're kind of buying at, in my opinion, near bottom for his floor, and I feel like he can give you that upside depending on how the offense goes. Because let's be honest, last year's Patriots were dog shit, just awful, and it hurt for me to watch.
This is PG-13. It's dog poop.
Sorry, excuse me. But this is just a player that I think people can target now before we get closer to the season that they could get cheaper. And I think the closer you get to the season, that his price might go up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about Antonio Gibson. I mean, he had his chance in Washington, and I think he's just going to be a spellback. I think that you're not going to get $36 million if he's not going to play all 3 down. I mean, he's 3 down back. Like I said, he does have good receiving skills, and I think it's a really good. Like Ken said, he's not really an RB1, but if you're in that 0 RB build, I think he's the perfect guy. All right, well, now we're going to move on to Travis Etienne. So we all know Tank Bigsby sucks at football. So
Do we know that yet, though? I mean, do we?
He sucks at football. It's over. It's over. So they showed it last year. So I think it's wheels up on Travis Etienne. I'm moving him up my board. Right now, I got him at RB8, right after Kyron Williams. It's a pretty slam dunk spot for him. He's got the receiving skills. He's back. Tanks Bigsby's just going to be a spell back like Gibson. So I really like Travis Etienne. I think this offense is going to be better than last year. I think it's going to send. Trevor got the contract, so you better start playing some ball. But another guy, if you're in a 0 RB, you go running back or you go receiver, you could always come back and get and try to snag him into your RB1. We'll go to my neighbor Sean. Where are you drafting Etienne, Sean?
I mean, right about there, I would say. I'm going to go glance real quick and just kind of get an idea of exactly where he went. He's looking at the 3-7 spot in this draft. So, at that point, it's really depends on how the board falls for me, just because I'm not that high on him in general, more so because of the offense. I don't know if he's really going to be utilized in that offense at the level that an RB1 will be. So similar to like my concern with like a Jahmyr Gibbs, having David Montgomery, they're kind of the same concept, even though it's not that he has a back behind him like that. It's just that I don't know if the offense is going to really cater to him as much. You got Ingram there. I think they're really going to push these new receivers that they brought in to get some targets to them and push the ball down the field a little more. So it could open things up for him, but it could also mean just less targets. So that's where I'm kind of at with him. Right about where he's at is right about where I'm at. I'm okay with him if the board has fallen in a way where there's nobody else that I just like that much better. But I will definitely look at potentially receiver, quarterback if it's super flex, over him, if there's a good player there that I like that's, at a value for me. So I wouldn't say I'm targeting him per se, but I'm definitely not like avoiding him either.
Gary, gun to your head. Kyron Williams or Travis Etienne?
Ooh, I think I would go with the upside of Kyron Williams, just because he just balled out last year.
Even with Blake Corum there?
Yeah, that doesn't worry me so much. Gosh, you never know. I still think the way that Sean McVay runs the offense, like even if Blake Corum gets involved, I think Kyron Williams, I don't know offhand, but I'm pretty sure he had like one of the highest yards per carry in the league last year when he touched the ball. So I think he's just one of those explosive guys, similar to Devon A-Chain, but he actually like had much more volume, right? And like much more success. So but it's kind of like, I don't know, that's a bit of a coin flip. Again, like I usually avoid those running backs right there, and I'll try and take a receiver. But yeah, I could change my mind on that tomorrow. I think Etienne's in a good spot too. I think the offense is great. He's going to get all the volume. I'm not totally out on Tank Bigsby just yet, but I'm really not that far out like Scott. I think he might have got the yips last year. If you look at his, like, he had like all these like really unfortunate, like unlucky, like drops where they would turn into interceptions or like fumbled at the 1 yard line. And they were just like really, really bad times that and I'm not saying Tank Bigsby like takes over the job. I just think like, I'm not totally discounting him as a decent like backup running back just yet. But that being said, like Etienne's got that job all the way. He's not like worried about Bigsby at all.
Well, the news in camp is, so Tank Bigsby had a bad camp last year. This year he's having a worse camp. So I don't know how he's got even a worse camp than he had last year. So
I thought he had a great camp.
Scott doesn't like somebody. He really doesn't like him, right?
He didn't he have an amazing like preseason? And like he was like the big buzz of.
Well, he never saw the field. I mean, he barely saw the field in the regular season. I mean, we're talking practice. I mean, that's what basically what preseason is, practice. So, all right, Ken, I'm going to give you three guys. Put these in this order. Talking about PPR. Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, Rashad White. PPR.
Etienne.
So you got Etienne over Derrick Henry and over Rashad White.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just would like to point out that I'm kind of sad that JoJo's not on at the moment, because JoJo, if everyone remembers a couple podcasts ago, said that
You mean the one who just chimed in the comments with Henry?
that this guy said that I deserved a C+ for my team build, and because I took JT and then I took ETN in a redraft. So the only reason I'm bringing this up is it makes me feel better about my ETN pick, and I think instead of me getting a C+, this puts me up to a B-.
You just cannot live with that C+, can you, bro? It's just eating at you.
I just love it. I love JoJo. I love it. He and I can dish it back and forth. So I love it. It's more of a funny thing between him and I. So.
All right.
That's
So
awesome.
that's the ETN talk. We're going to move on here and we're going to start off with Gary, because in our Dynasty League, Gary drafted Bryce Young. So I'm going to do some either ors, and I got Bryce in a pocket of guys. Okay. So I'm going to do some either ors, and I'm going to go around the board here and see around the horn and see where our panel has Bryce Young. Now in camp, they're saying he's picking up the playbook. He's got more weapons, blah, 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 blah. To me, he's a midget. He's a short guy. I don't invest in it. So I'm passing on Bryce Young. So we're gonna start with Gary. Gary, is it Bryce Young or Drake May?
In Dynasty?
These are all Dynasty.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would take Drake May. And we had actually discussed this, I think, somewhere. Me and Sean I think we were talking because I brought it up. And the first year you're gonna get you can get nothing from Drake May, but the upside could be better. I think it's all the unknown that you have with Drake May. It just always, like, anytime there's that unknown with the rookies, like, you think there could be.
He can ride every ride at Disneyland, whereas Bryce Young, he's only got the kiddie rides and the teacups.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'll go with Drake May.
All right, Farmer Sean. Bryce Young or JJ McCarthy?
JJ.
JJ, no problem, eh?
Yeah. I like the offense he's on. I like the coaching staff better. I mean, I got more confidence in him. He's got JJ, he's got TJ. Anybody whose names are initials all work out well on that team.
Go.
All right, Kenny, you're up. Bryce Young or my favorite sleeper this year, Will Levis?
Oh, give me Levis. Easy.
I love Levis.
Levis is going to ball this year, everyone. Mark my words.
Everyone's sleeping on Will Levis. I really think that offense is going to take a step forward this year. So I'm big Will Levis fan. So
I got one for you, Scott.
What's up? Shoot.
Young or Nuggs?
You know what? I'm going to go with the quarterback whisperer. And I trust in Sean Payton to develop quarterbacks. He developed a short one there, remember. He developed a midget there. And Drew Brees. So I'm going to take Bo Nix.
All right. So everybody either or, everybody took the opposite guy from Bryce Young.
Even the guy who drafted him.
Yeah.
Hey, if Drake May was there, I would have taken him.
So we'll talk about this shortly, but in that draft, they went back to back. Bryce Young got taken ahead of Drake May.
But to be clear, I would take him ahead of Will Levis and JJ McCarthy.
Who, Young?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And Dynasty.
No.
Yeah. It's why, because I think there's a lot of factors there. There's draft capital. Like Bryce Young has had the one thing, like, I think a lot of this is lends to recency bias from a really bad really, really bad system, really bad. Like they fired the head coach, the offensive coordinator. Like everything just went to shit. No offensive line. Like, and you judge the guy off of
We
everything.
had the same situation happen right before that with Trevor, and he didn't get the same type of judgment though. Like almost exactly the same kind of scenario.
Well, I think I actually wasn't playing Dynasty at the time, but I can't imagine that Trevor Lawrence's value stayed that much as high as it was.
It did a lot more than Bryce's has. It definitely did more than Bryce's has.
Well, I think there's only one way to go, and that's up for him.
Yeah.
He's certainly he's had a really good career before he had one bad year at the Panthers after being an overall #1 draft pick. So I just think a lot of it is just like, and it was abysmal, right? Like that was a really bad offense. I just think they brought in some weapons. I think he really can improve, and I think there isn't much difference for this year. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like he does better than all the quarterbacks we named this year. But in Dynasty, that's a tougher projection to make for a couple years ahead, right? So
I think as we talk about this, I think the best part is how JoJo is very, very vocal in the comments right now, because he was on last week and talked about how Bryce Young has this new coach and everything. My issue is yes, Bryce Young will go up from last year, but when you're in the toilet, you're like
you go up from 32 to 24.
I can't get excited when your best wide receiver going into the year is Deontay Johnson, which don't get me wrong, I love Deontay Johnson, but he's not your wide receiver one type of guy. And I think he'll be better for sure. I think he'll be better. I can't put him above JJ or the other quarterback you mentioned.
So let me ask you guys this. This is a good little kind of hypothetical. Say he comes back and has a very similar season to what Trevor Lawrence had after the whole debacle for his rookie year. Do you think going into next season's drafts that he's going to be up in because Trevor got up to like top 5, the top 10 drafted quarterback in dynasty startups that prior to last season. So you think that same kind of a rise is potentially available for a guy like Bryce Young?
I'm not going to totally keep piling on the guy. But yet again, this is his show me year. I mean, they brought in a lot of weaponry for him, and they got a new coaching staff in. So pretty soon you're going to have to develop. You're going to have to show something. Exactly. And I mean, maybe he needs to run more. Maybe be a dual threat like he was in college a little bit more. Maybe that'll help out a little bit. He just looked like a deer in headlights last year. Just looked lost. And I think it had, like Gary said, probably a lot had to do with the coaching staff. I mean, he had old Adam Thielen, didn't have much of a running game. So, I mean, I'm going to give him a second chance this year and see how he does. But if he has another year like he had last year and he's not getting it, then, in the NFL nowadays, the leash is so short on quarterbacks. I mean, they give these guys 2 or 3 years and you are done. They're moving on. So, this is a big year for Bryce Young. And like I said, I don't want anybody to fail. I know I'm hard on some guys. I want everybody to succeed, but sometimes when it's not there, it's not there.
You can. How about
except for Tank Bigsby? Everybody except for Tank Bigsby.
He does not like Daniel Jones at all, and he will go on and on about him. But I will say in Dynasty, because that's kind of where I spend most of my time, I will trade away Bryce Young in any leagues that I have him, and I will not target him at all.
I'm actually just targeting him solely based on his value right now, because if he does turn it around, I could flip him for better, next season, based on potential for people thinking that, this was, a bad year.
So let me ask you this: where are you getting him?
Right now in drafts.
Yeah.
I haven't done very many startups lately on Dynasty to have a good idea right now, off the top of my head. Where are you taking him? You tell me where you got him. I'll look up my last dynasty real quick while you're doing that.
So it's tough. So when I talk dynasty, as I'm in a lot of rookie drafts, when I put like a rookie pick value on him, I wouldn't trade anything higher than a 2.5 for him.
I must say that if you want to acquire a cheap quarterback that could turn things around, this is the time to do it. But Ken, last year in the rookie draft, before the rookie draft, when you were asking me my evaluations on quarterbacks, who did I tell you was the number one quarterback coming out?
I will give you props. Last year, when it came to quarterbacks, I took C.J. Stroud in every single draft except for one. And I cannot thank you enough for that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Did you just give yourself a Scott? Did you?
But I'm gonna also say I was totally wrong about, and I mean the jury's still out, but I was totally wrong about Dameon Pierce. But the jury's still out. I thought.
So wait a second.
You weren't alone in that one though.
You pick on Dameon Pierce, but you're still standing behind Jonathan Mingo.
I'm still gonna.
No way. No.
Why?
No.
There's nobody in that.
He's that wide receiver one Carolina needs to complement Deontay.
It's wide open for WR1. It's still wide open. No one's like.
Okay.
Grab the range yet.
What rookie pick in Dynasty would you trade for Mingo?
Well, I mean, I could probably get him for a third now.
I asked what you would pay for him.
I'd probably pay a late third. What the hell?
Your phone's gonna be blowing up right now.
I know, right? You're gonna get everybody offered you Jonathan Mingo for the rounder.
All right, this rant's over. All right, let's go to let's move on here to the the redraft, the high stakes redraft that we're in right now. It's $100 redraft. It's the same Ballsville settings, obviously. We are, Sean, where are we at right now? We like the halfway through the 11th.
We are currently in. Oh, let me get back to the right league here real quick. 11th round.
So we got a little bit of information for you guys with the redraft. So we got a couple drafts that have already fired off, but we're gonna look at this one right here. Like I said, it's the high stakes redraft, and we're gonna bring up the board.
Here it is. Bear with me for 2 seconds. Here we go. All right. That is our board, everybody.
Okay, so we're almost through the 11th then. So.
And I just realized Blake Corm went, which frustrates me. Thank you, Love John. I really am not your friend right now.
So some of the guys that we welcomed into the Ballsville community are in this draft. And it looks like we're going to evaluate some of these teams. So let's see here. We'll start with Ken. Go ahead and take a look at the draft board and pick out a team that you or players that you think might have went too early, too late. Maybe a team build you like, maybe a team build you don't like.
If you want me to highlight a squad, you just holler which squad and I'll highlight it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, kind of looking at this board, I kind of miss, when we did this a while back when it was all of us and there was just like the colors in a row. If everyone remembers that, where there was no quarterbacks, I missed that. I was kind of hoping that there was one this time, but there isn't. But, I think the team that I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Sean, I'm a fan of your team, and this goes to, you have C.J. Stroud and Murray as your quarterbacks, and I love that. That's a great start. And then you have your wide receiver one, and you hit kind of all the important players here. I think as I look at this, I think, I'm a big fan of kind of where you took Kelsey. I don't know how others feel, but I think in terms of value, I like your team because you kind of did it. You got your wide receiver ones in Flowers and Olave, great quarterbacks, and everyone knows how I feel about running backs. And then you have a top tight end. So, Sean, I hate to give it to you, but Merry Christmas.
All right.
I appreciate it.
All right, Gary, your turn.
Okay. So doing this on the fly, I may miss something, but
if you pick a squad, I'll highlight it, make it a little easier for
I'm gonna throw a curveball at you guys here because I think I like now for redraft. I don't value the quarterbacks as much. I think it's good to get one good one and
in a super flex redraft.
In a super flex, just the super flexes I played where people won the league had one good quarterback and hodgepodge the rest of it during the year as people went down with injuries or just played matchups. And I feel like you get so much more out of the skill positions because quarterback, the top three are phenomenal, but like after that, there's really not that big like points per game, depending on the matchups. There really isn't a big difference between getting 25 points versus 19 points, or unless you have like Bryce Young on your team last year and you get like 8 points. But I like TB76. So
I knew you were going to go there.
And it's funny because we just talked about Bryce Young, but I like that he started off with two running back ones. Like Christian McCaffrey is like having two players in one spot, and Taylor's great. And then you have a really good receiver room. Like look at that Waddle, Debo, and if Ayuk gets traded, that Debo pick just skyrockets. Devonta, Reed, kind of depends on what happens. Addison too, it's a little shaky, but I like those are his fourth and fifth receivers. And then I like Herbert. I think he's going to be better than most people think this year. And Young and Nix, I don't know. He's just sort of rolling some dice there. But I don't know. I like that build. I like the dice roll. Like load up on the heavy skill positions, get your running backs for the year. So. Gotcha. I may have missed some other teams though, but I like that team.
All right, Sean. I know you're gloating over your team, so we don't need to talk about your team anymore. So go ahead and give your analysis.
For me, for which team I like, well, I'm not going to pick my team because I don't want to do that since I know that Scott's going to gush about it, and everybody already knows it's the best. So I'll focus on the second best team. And right now, I think I'm going to have to go with Alex, as much as I hate to do this, because he always snakes me in drafts and he always trades to get around me, and it drives me insane. But I really like his build so far, man. He's got, he did the same thing that I like to do, which is always get two stud quarterbacks. Gary, I know that your opinion's different, but I'm sorry, man. I just don't agree with that opinion. I feel like Scott has talked about it in the past. I agree with him that you get two solid quarterbacks, that's an extra 20 to 25 points a week pretty much that you're going to have over your opponent almost instantly when you start your game. So, that to me is like a necessity, not a luxury when it comes to Superflex. So I was really happy with him, being able to snag Purdy for his sake, not for mine, but being able to snag Purdy in the third round like that after getting Barkley in the second. I felt like those were both good value picks for him at that point in the draft. And then, Nico and Michael Pittman. Pittman, I'm a little bit lower on than most, but I do feel like there is a slight teardrop when it goes past Pittman. So I was okay with him taking him at that point. He traded up to get Kincaid ahead of me. Surprise, surprise, right? So that I feel like is a steal of a pick because, in my opinion, Kincaid has a really good shot at being the number one tight end this year. McLaurin, I think, is going to be a lot better than last year. I like Zach Moss's potential as far as getting multiple carries in that offense. I think he's underrated for that reason. I personally think Chase Brown is going to be the man there, but everybody else is leaning Moss, so I can't fault him for taking him at that point. He traded up to get Levis. Scott knows that, that's a guy that was being targeted who I might have taken had he fallen to me 2 more picks. Again, a trade up to get ahead of me. And then Benson and Thomas, I think, are good flyers at that point with his build as far as he's had it already. So I like that squad a lot. It's my second favorite team behind the eventual champion. Slam.
I didn't see the trades he made. Those actually is a really good team. I just didn't catch the
Alex
Cade McLaurin.
Yeah, Alex. So
he's my biggest competition, I feel like.
So yeah, I'll just do a little, just look at teams that maybe stuck out to me. As far as build goes, everyone knows what I think about quarterbacks, and I agree with Sean. Like I've said before, it's a huge advantage in super flex if you can roll out their 2 stud quarterbacks who you can just pencil in every week. If you're lucky enough to acquire even a 3rd quarterback, like I like to do, now I can start playing matchups and really start looking at Vegas lines, implied totals, and start really hammering that super flex position. I feel it's a huge advantage against somebody who either has a weak quarterback or is just putting a random guy in the super flex every week that you don't know week by week who you're even putting in. So those are the type of builds I like to do. So looking at the beginning of these drafts, I love how Team 1 was able to get Josh Allen and Jordan Love, and then come back with his anchor running back in Kyren Williams. So I kind of like that start with right there. I love Wes's team. He's got Mahomes and Purdy with Barkley. He's got the Alpha and Nico, and he was able to. Let's see. He did some trades here. I think Zach Moss. I mean, everyone might not think a lot of him, but I think he's going to be a pretty underrated running back. I think he's going to definitely get, a lot of scoring opportunities in that offense. In Cincinnati's offense. I like Dalton Kincaid. And then, like I said, he went with that 3rd quarterback with some upside. So your 3rd quarterback for you gamers, you want that guy to be, if you do a quarterback build like Alex did here, you want that 3rd quarterback to have some upside, and not just some old rinkety quarterback that you're just happy getting 15 to 16 points every week. You want some guy that has some kind of upside to his game. Obviously, I looked at Pablo's team. He's got Hurts and Dak. I like Marvin. I probably would have went maybe a little bit safer with maybe either Adams or maybe Olave. I think Olave and Adams should score a little bit more than Marvin Harrison.
He didn't want me to get in the stack.
I'm not crazy about the running backs. Everyone knows I'm not a big chain fan. I think Cook's all right. I don't mind Mark Andrews, so not a bad build. Sean's team obviously is a very good build with the 2 stud quarterbacks. I wish he would have got maybe if I'm going to say anything negative about Sean's team, I wish he would have found a way to grab another quarterback. Maybe that was had maybe a little bit that's maybe been in the league and maybe not grabbed a rookie. Somebody like, I would have been fine with him taking Levis in that, that kind of range. Chiefs went with a different build. He waited on quarterbacks. CD Puka, Travis Etienne, not a big fan of White. He did kind of get bailed out at quarterback with Rodgers and Mayfield. So not a bad build. But one build, and then I actually like JoJo's build a lot. I'm not crazy about the Deshaun Watson. I would have rather seen you, JoJo, take Matthew Stafford and instead of Deshaun Watson. I love the McBride pick. I think he's crazy.
JoJo, jump in there and make your next pick live on air. Let's do this.
Yeah, JoJo's got to pick live on. Now you are weak at running back, which you're going to have to possibly work the waiver wire on that. But I do like your team a lot. And then one team so this kind of stuck out to me a lot. So Short Stack's team, he drafted out of the 12 hole, which is it's a hard spot to draft out of, especially if you're not in a 3-round reversal. So he started off with Bijan, which is fine. I mean, I'd rather, you got to, in that spot, you have to get out out of that first two picks with a quarterback. I just think you have to. He decided not to do it. He rolled the dice and he took Bijan and AJ Brown, but he got bailed out on the way back with Tua. And why are you taking don't take a rookie quarterback. Take somebody with a good floor. Trevor Lawrence was sitting right there. I think he should have taken Trevor Lawrence. I would have liked that a lot better. Now, this is where I think, and don't take this personal, short stack, but I think you may have lost the league on these two picks. So you come back and you take Alvin Kamara, which one, you don't need another running back. You can fill your RB2 later on down the road with a DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, Spears. You don't need him in that spot. What you needed was another wide receiver, or Trey McBride was sitting there, could have taken him. So I would have loved your team if you would have came out of there with like Cooper Kupp, double tap Cooper Kupp and T. Higgins, or double tap Trey McBride and T. Higgins. You went with Tank Dell, which is the third best receiver on that team, depending on how Stephon Diggs does. I like the Jake Ferguson pick a lot. But I would have really, really liked your team if you'd have went with Lawrence and then double tapped receiver right there. So that's just my quick analysis. But but as far as like overall best team, I really, really like what Alex did, what Westlex did with the trades and everything. I really like his build a lot. It's a build I would definitely and even with the upside at running backs, he did get Brooks and Benson, and then he didn't get Brooks, he got Benson, like I said, the Zach Moss, and then I love the quarterback room. So anyone else have to add?
So I have a question for you guys. So I'm looking at the board, and I don't know, maybe to me, I might be the outlier here. But in a redraft, would you rather have D-Hop or Addison?
In a redraft, I'd probably take D-Hop.
Yeah.
It's close, but I
think Addison is
trying to get it.
He had a lot of touchdown luck last year. And I don't know, like it's hard to know what to expect with JJ McCarthy. And I think Hopkins has got another good year. I mean, he did pretty good last year.
I think if you want to play it safe, it's Hopkins. If you want upside and you're going for a home run, because where you're drafting those guys, you're kind of looking for upside at that range. And I think I would lean towards Addison because.
What round was that?
So I'm looking at round 8.
Yeah, that's kind of like upside range.
Right here where Hopkins went, and then Addison went right here.
Right.
Because McCarthy might not, depending on how the Vikings do, I can't remember when their bye is. I think it's like 6 or 7. If they're in good shape towards the bye, they might just ride Sam Darnold. And, I think if he plays well, now Addison's definitely in play. I think Addison's definitely in play even when JJ gets in there too. But, I mean, when Jefferson was out last year, Addison was like a stud. Also, I think out for, a little bit of the year.
So I think that's why I bring that up is I think, first off, I don't think JJ starts the year. I see him riding the bench to at least for the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season, whenever their bye week is. I see Darnold starting. And I think for me, Hawk's going to be out for a little bit. Love you, Hawk. I just think for me.
There it is. Good job, Sarah.
I just think for me, because Scott, you and I were talking about this before the show with D-Hop. I think I'd rather have Addison to D-Hop.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said, if it's an upside play, I think Addison's the guy to go. Safe play, probably D-Hop. I think.
What kind of upside does Addison have that D-Hop doesn't have?
That's kind of what I'm wondering. Like, what do you think Addison can do, D-Hop can't?
So this is my worry when you start getting with older wide receivers is, yes, I think D-Hop will have a good season, but he's getting close to a drop-off. And I just think that in redraft for me, I don't think D-Hop is a player that I would touch. especially when I look at this board. I just think that for me, there are probably some other options I would probably rather take than where D-Hop was picked on that board.
I agree. I would have taken personally. I think I might have taken Deontay Johnson over him.
Or Watson.
And Watson, exactly.
Yeah.
Christian Watson's getting criminally undervalued in my opinion.
Hey, don't say nothing, man. I've been stealing him.
I actually agree with that. Yeah.
He is dropping so far in these drafts. I've seen drafts where people are taking Wicks over him. And it's like, what are you guys doing? I mean, he's a very talented player. He had some hamstring issues. It looks like they're going to straighten that out. But I don't understand why he's dropping that far.
Christian Watson reminds me of Will Fuller.
No way.
Oh,
not even close.
Not even close, dude.
That hurt.
Close.
He reminds me of him. I will die on that hill for that one.
No way.
Nah.
That's not even close.
Yeah, you lost us all with that one.
Is JoJo picking? JoJo, are you going to pick or no?
Yeah, come on, JoJo. What are you doing, man?
If you're not going to pick, we're going to move on because I'm waiting for you to pick so we can.
Yes. Put down the
Who's available for him?
Make it real quick.
Yeah, who's there for him?
Right? Oh, you want to see here? We can do that.
You know what? We're going to help you out, JoJo. Maybe we'll help you out with this pick.
Oh, look who's there. Hawkinson. That's tough in redraft.
Not in redraft. No.
Yeah.
I know, right? It is difficult. But it's kind of at that point for me where it's like we kind of hit a tier break.
Oh, I know. I like this one for you, JoJo. You need a running back. Give me some Brian Robinson.
You taking Brian, huh?
Oh yeah.
Brian Robinson.
Shit. I would take Chase Brown instead.
No.
Dang you, Ken. I shouldn't have done it like this.
Brian Robinson, JoJo, take him.
Yeah, I don't know who else does he have at quarterback. Does he just have Watson and Goff?
For him, he has just Watson.
I would grab Daniel Jones. I know not a lot of people like Daniel Jones. I think he still has a range of outcomes that includes like a decent season with Malik Neighbors. And
the whole time, that's all I had to do was click.
Oh man.
Boy, Sarah didn't like that one.
Let's see here. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on the quarterback. I would probably tell him that Daniel Jones.
There's not much left.
He's got McBride, so it's not like he really needs to worry about that. He's got 5 receivers, 2 backs.
He beat 9 a couple years ago. He could do it again, right?
Yeah, he could do DJ or Brian Robinson. I feel like would probably be the best options for him if I was in his boat.
Oh God, he just said I just hopped out of the shower.
I was reading that.
You don't gotta tell us that part, bro. You just see him on.
Or not even respond.
Yeah, he said, "Make my pick for me." Should we go in there and just like, here, let me assign you this guy? I think this is who you should take, Alex.
Give him a retired player.
Right? Give him a retired player.
Come on, JoJo.
Give him Frank Gore Sr.
Is Will Fuller available?
Probably sitting on the toilet right next to the shower. Just grab your phone.
He's in the draft. Jeez.
I could always leave it open, and then we can come back to it if we really want to.
All right.
Since JoJo's not playing along our timeline here,
he's in the
go take a shower in the middle of our pod.
Jesus.
Oh, JoJo, no love for you right now.
Get Daniel Jones, buddy. The googly-eyed gunslinger.
We'll give him a couple more seconds, and I'll just get into like. I just want to. We all want to thank the listeners again, going on to the pod, rating and reviewing, and like I said before, go ahead and leave some comments. Because once we get into the season, we're definitely going to use the information that we get from not only the live stream, but also you East Coasters that maybe don't stay up and watch this and watch the rerun. You guys can go ahead and go on YouTube and write a question into the comment section. I go through them. I sift through them every day, and I'll definitely make sure that we address your guys' questions too. So we're up to 191 subscriptions. The last pod was over 150 views. The one before that reached
Daniel Jones
250. So we're doing really well.
Brian Robinson.
Daniel Jones.
Is he gonna pick? Come on, is he picked yet?
Daniel
He's
Jones.
asking us who we told him to take.
What is he doing?
So everybody say hi to my buddy Cody. He jumped in here. He's a friend of mine from Reno.
What's up, Cody?
Hi, Cody.
All right,
We are now across the entire state of Nevada, everybody.
Nice. All right, we're not waiting on JoJo anymore.
TJ in here still? Let me see if TJ's still in here.
All right, we're gonna move to our favorite part of the podcast, and I never can remember the name. Can somebody help me with the name, Sean? Can you help me with this name?
I want to say it's Trade Talks.
Oh no!
There we go, Trade Talks, and we have. Oh, there he
he did it. You guys want to see who it was? Thanks a lot, Ken. It's all your fault.
What?
Hang on a second. There it is. It's Chase Brown. All your fault, Ken.
Let's
all
go. That is the first time I've agreed with JoJo.
Oh, you just took my guy, man. I tried to keep it all quiet and on the DL, and you just took him.
That's a C+ pick right there.
All right, Sarah, go ahead and jump in with the slides.
All right, let's get these trade talks in. Oh my God!
Ooh.
This. So we have our there he is. We have
Cody is also a Vikings fan, so you guys know. I'm sure he's gonna love this trade talk.
And this must have been really, really, really hard because our own panelist, the dealer, is back. Mr. Ken shipped off away his BFF, TJ Hawkinson, and got DK Metcalf in return. I don't even know where to start right here. I'm like super shell shocked.
I am.
We're gonna go to Sean. Sean, what do you think about this trade?
So give me a little context, Ken. Is this TEP dynasty?
So there's a reason. So I should probably give the reason why I made the trade, and then you guys can roast me for this. So I think I made the trade. I think it was the beginning of the week. No, it was yesterday. I made the trade because I am hurting at wide receiver. I am loaded at tight end. Like I think I have Kincaid, Laporta.
Oh.
Kincaid, Laporta, and there's one other one. Oh, Komet. And I really, 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 really needed a wide receiver because I think I have like Lamb, Watson, Nakua, and then it's just like no one. So I had the depth, and I wasn't gonna start all these tight ends. So I offered it up, Hawkinson for Metcalf. This is a weird league. It's TEP +1, wide receiver 0.5, running back 0.25 receiving.
Wow.
So it's big score. It's a big scoring league. So to me, it made sense to trade away Hawkinson, which it hurt deep down. But for me, it made sense to go get Metcalf.
I mean, if you based on that, like, so basically with that breakdown, what I'm getting is that it's 0.5 TEP, pretty much.
Yeah.
If you go on receiver versus tight end, so
Yeah.
I mean, I don't per se hate it. Honestly, I think it's kind of a pretty fair deal. I'm not a huge DK guy. Everybody else is higher on DK than I am. I think he might be good. I just don't think he has a lot of long-term value just because of his style of play. But I don't hate the trade based on the 0.5 TEP aspect. Now, had it been just a straight up standard PPR, I wouldn't like it. I would definitely lean the DK side. But the 0.5 TEP kind of puts me a little bit closer to even.
What about you, Gary?
I think it's a great trade for Ken. I mean, just
there we go.
Just based off the context. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? Like, it's easy to judge in a vacuum, but like when you talk about like, dude, you've got Laporta and Kincaid already. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense to make this trade. It's pretty, yeah, and I'm sure it's good for the other team as well. Like depending on what his needs were.
So the other team didn't have a tight end. I think their tight end was Otten, which I love Otten, but I think that was his only tight end going into the league, going into the season right now. So our rookie draft is done. So it was like he needed a tight end and I needed some wide receiver depth because I wasn't going to start 4 tight ends. So it was kind of a win-win for both of us. But I'm putting this up here because it truly, truly hurt to trade my boy.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you: could you have potentially looked to trade one of Laporta or Kincaid and gotten back like a really, really solid like wide receiver 1 prospect?
I didn't really try it because I didn't really think about it. I just kind of went with Hawkinson because I knew the other player liked Hawkinson too. So it was I kind of wanted to make it quick and easy kind of trade.
I see.
Yeah, I after listening to the context of the trade, I think it's a pretty easy decision for Ken to move on from TJ Hawkinson. You already have 2 elite tight ends. You don't need a third. I don't know how many flex spots you're playing.
Yeah, it was Dynasty, Jim.
It was 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 3 flex.
Okay, so you could flex out some tight ends, but I mean, are you really going to flex out TJ Hawkinson, with the rest of your roster? He may just be a bye week filling guy. So,
based on his receiver depth, sounds like he was flexing his tight end.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I'm kind of like with Sean too. I'm not the biggest DK guy, but I think it's a very fair trade. I'd probably lean towards Ken's side a little bit better. I mean, DK's still young. He's still a monster. So, I think it's a good trade. I mean, for what his roster construction was looking like.
Scott, before the season, we're just going to do a podcast on players that you like. Because all I hear is players that you don't like.
Players that don't suck at football.
I just told you I like Will Levis.
That's one player in like the 4 last pods that we've done.
Well,
in his defense, it's the same player in all 4 pods.
If I give everybody the players I like, then they're all going to take them from me. So if I tell the listeners the bad players, then hopefully they're like, this guy's full of shit, and they'll go and they'll take the bad players when I'm in drafts with them.
See, Ken, that's how you do it.
That's how you do
it. He likes Jordan Love, everyone. Go take Jordan Love from him.
All right, what's the next trade? Bring it up. Oh.
So this is Sarah's trade, our esteemed producer.
Oh. This is a big boy trade right here. So Sarah, our producer, she sent Tua, Rashad White, George Pickens, and Ty Chandler, and received Lamar Jackson, Nick Chubb, Xavier Worthy, and Vidal, the rookie running back from the Chargers. I am going to go with – go ahead, Gary. I'm going to go with you first. I know there's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I feel like you can kind of just take out Chubb and Chandler and look at it because, I mean, it depends on how you view each player, but it's kind of like a Tua, Rashad White, Pickens for Lamar Jackson, Xavier Worthy, Vidal. Getting that upgrade to Lamar Jackson is pretty huge. Gosh, I'm not sure. It's without seeing the other teams, kind of like, or what their strategies are supposed to be.
Value for value, it seems pretty even.
Yeah, I guess I think it's kind of even. Sounds like Tua. Like I just saw a little blip on Sleeper that Tua was they're not really budging on his contract, so it's kind of a lot of uncertainty there. And
so Sarah just chimed in that this is a dynasty super flex, and she has Hurts and her other quarterback, and the TD passing points are only 4. Oh, Hurts has her other quarterback. Okay, so she's now
TD
got Lamar
passing
and
points are only 4.
Yes.
Oh, I would definitely lead Lamar Jackson then, and not by a ton, but just getting that rushing upside, rushing TDs.
Yeah, the rushing touchdown upside, the extra 2 points per rushing touchdown versus passing.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of unknown with Worthy and Vidal, but just you're getting insulated with the quarterback there.
What about you? What about you, Ken?
Probably lean the Lamar Jackson side. However, I don't like Chubb and I don't like Chandler. But I think because of Jackson's pedigree compared to Tua, and I do like Pickens. I think for me, I'd have to lean the Jackson side.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat.
Okay.
Sorry, Scott. I kind of lead the same direction though. I'm in the same boat where the difference between Tua and Lamar is enough to take the flyer on the other players, right? Like, because Rashid White, what you're kind of getting from him this season as far as at least being the number one back and being in an offense that likes to drop the ball down a lot. So PPR wise, he's good value. Pickens, has potential to be the number one and potentially a wide receiver one, down the road ceiling. So, there's definitely value on that side of the board there too. And Tua is not a terrible quarterback, like you talked about with the redraft aspect, like your points per game versus Lamar from Tua might not be that big of a difference. But I think Xavier Worthy has the potential to be, a wide receiver one on the best offense in football. So that's a really enticing piece of the puzzle there. And Vidal again on one of the highest potential rushing offenses and the first running back they drafted. So, that could mean a lot for that position too. So I like the upside value enough of those players to give up White and Pickens in order to get the Tua to Lamar upgrade. So I definitely lean slightly Lamar side, but I wouldn't hate either side of them, honestly. I wouldn't be super upset if the other guy did that because he was really bad on running back and needed a more proven receiver to compete this year. I don't hate that move either. So it seems like it's a pretty fair deal, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Sean and the rest of the panel. I mean, I think the gap between Lamar and Tua, everyone thinks it's a huge gap. I mean, everyone poo-poos on Tua, and I think he's in a great offense that can score a ton of points. He's still pretty young. But I mean, I do like her getting Jackson and Hurts. I mean, kind of some big-time bookend quarterbacks. She unloaded White, which was great, but she got back Chubb, Chubb could be done. I mean, he could be out of the league next year. So I don't like getting Chubb back. The guy just unloaded him on her. I hate giving away Pickens for Worthy. I love George Pickens, a guy I like. Okay, I'm not poo-pooing on another guy. So
he doesn't suck at football, everybody.
Yeah, I do like George Pickens a lot. I think he's a baller, and I do like Vidal. Everyone knows that. I compare him to. He has the same build as Blake Corum, and I think Jim Harbaugh drafted him specifically for that size and kind of a Blake Corum clone that he could possibly use in his offense. So I think it's pretty even. I'd probably lean a little bit Lamar, even though I'm not the biggest Lamar guy, but I just wish.
And a lot of us are not accounting for Jim's point, which is a good point to bring up, is that we were all thinking Tua was one hit away from a career-ending scenario not too long ago, and we're all kind of just bypassing that because it's been long enough now that it's in the rear view. And one hit, he still could be one hit away from being so concussed that he's not able to get back on the field.
That's probably why they don't want to pay him.
Yeah,
exactly. Without the contract and that situation going on, it lowers his value even more, which I think is why he drops to where he does in these drafts. Because everything else that Ken said about the good side, the fact that he's on the right offense and all that kind of stuff is totally true. It's just the contract scenario and the injury scenario are definitely causes for concern.
I think I talked to Sarah about this trade I think a couple days ago, and I think she said that the guy really, really wanted Rashad White, and I'm like, that's great. If he wants him, he can have him. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like Nick Chubb was just like a throw-in, and I think you could. I would even try to get another receiver, or maybe a tight end, or somebody that could potentially be of value to your team, because I think Nick Chubb he's coming back off that devastating knee injury. He's 28 years old. He's not going to be full go until probably halfway through the season, and then even next year he might not even be around. So, but like I said, for this particular trade and what she got, the best player in the deal is Lamar Jackson. So,
but if Chubb comes back for even 3/4 of a season, the second half of this season, early part of next season, and is like anything close to what he used to be, then it totally skews this trade in her favor. Because we're all assuming that Chubb is not going to be what he used to be, but crazier things have happened.
Unless he's Adrian Peterson, that's the robo back. So, but good job, Sarah. We got one more, or here we go. Here we go. So
it's the first trade that Gary made that I'm actually in approval of. I love it.
That's not true. You guys have approved a lot of them. There's been so many. Right. I think you guys forget.
I think the ones that we didn't like were the ones that involved quarterbacks. That might have been
except for the Burrow one. There's one I traded away Burrow, and you were in love with that.
Probably.
Yeah, I think that was the one that we went back and forth about Burrow.
Did you? Is that where you got Trevor Lawrence back?
I got like Purdy. I traded
Purdy.
I can't remember. Now I've done.
It's okay. Let's focus on the
screen. Anyway.
All right. Anyway, so
yeah.
So, and I don't, and you don't really see these kind of trades that much. Giving Marvin Harrison away. I mean, he's a top stud. So Gary sent away Marvin Harrison, and he got back DJ Moore and Nico Collins. So I'm gonna let Gary go last. So I'm gonna go right to Ken, and I'm gonna say, Ken, what do you think about what do you think about this trade?
So I'm first gonna ask, tell me your team makeup.
So I have it's a tight end premium. You flex three wide receivers, PPR, super flex. I have a contending team, or it turned out to be a pretty contending team. I have my quarterbacks aren't great. I have Brock Purdy. Actually, let me look it up right now.
Seems to be a common theme for you. The quarterback.
Brock Purdy, Will Levis, JJ McCarthy, Daniel Jones. I have a decent stable of quarterbacks that have some upside. And then I've got like B. John Robinson, Javonte Williams, Zay Flowers, Trey McBride, Brian Robinson, Debo, Hollywood Brown. It's my main guys. I got some good rookies, Marshawn Lloyd, Ricky Pearsall. So I have like a contending team with some future depth.
So I think for me, no matter what, I take your side. I'll tell you what, it is. How hard was it for you to trade Harrison away?
Harder than you think. Harder to trade him away for what like his actual value should be. I got some like ticky-tack. I put him on the market, and I got like some weird offers that like just I'm like, what? Right, but it was actually kind of hard. And then somebody came up with like this was like one of the best offers I got, and I was like, this actually makes a lot of sense for what I'm trying to do. I wanted to build out some depth and actually try and contend this season.
I like the trade. I think this is a good trade for you, especially where you're at with your team. I think this trade makes it 10 times better because you have Patrick down there looking like you just won the deal because you definitely did. I think that is the kind of value that you need to move Harrison.
Right.
Sean, do you think Gary could have got a little bit more? Do you think he got fair market value for that trade, or do you think maybe he could have got a little bit more? Because everybody loves Marvin Harrison. I mean, everybody. Wow. I've seen him go 101. I mean, in super flex.
I'd have tried to add a second rounder in 2025 or something. Not that you didn't get good value, you did.
You don't want to scare the guy.
You would have wanted to get the best I could for him.
Yeah, you don't want to spook him and be like, you know what, screw you. I gave you a good offer and have him run away. But and I'm gonna say I think this was a very aggressive trade, and I love it. I love it for Gary. I think.
I agree. I think it's perfect for his build.
He's trying to put himself in contention for a championship, and he brings in two solid pieces. Both guys are still young. Ken knows I love Nico Collins. Everyone's dropping him because Diggs is there. No way. He's the alpha. And then DJ Moore with a young up and coming quarterback. Keenan Allen's probably got one more year left, and then you got DJ and Roma Dunze there with a young, which I think the Bears are an ascending offense. So I love this. It's a big boy trade. Good job, Gary.
I also think on the other side, like to get Marvin Harrison, that's what you got to pay. And so, like, if you like him and you do believe in him, I mean, that's he turns out to hit.
I mean, honestly, like I said, I feel like you could have got more for him. I feel like he should be happy with being able to get him for that, just like you should be happy with getting those two solid players for your starting lineup.
Yeah.
No, I like it. That's definitely, when I saw that trade, I was like, wow, man, we've got to talk about that.
Hey, Scott, tell everyone who's listening right now what you usually call me when I do my trades.
Oh, you fleece everybody.
So I would just like to point, that is not the word you use, but you asking for a second makes you extraordinarily greedy.
I didn't say that. Sean did.
I'm sorry, Sean.
Did, not me.
So that's how I approach these things, though. I would throw that second in there and be like, it's Marvin. I need a little bit more, and then hopefully he'll counter at me with like a third back too, and then I'll get like a upgrade by a round in the 2025, or he throws like instead of the second and the third, he throws back just the third. And
I'm having flashbacks right now, by the way, of negotiating with Sean.
Scott.
This is so on brand.
Scott,
dude, that's how you do it, right?
No, it's true. Yeah, I do the same thing.
The name that you use for me, that is for Sean now.
Shyster?
Yep.
Shyster.
I'm not being shysty, though. I'm just trying to explain my reasoning.
That's actually that's good. Shyster Sean.
Hey, I mean, I've been called worse.
Well, hey, now I understand where El Super Beasto got it when he sent me a trade recently. He gets it from Sean.
You got to start. Hey, you never start with a totally even trade. You just got to
you shoot for the moon, man, and then eventually you guys can meet somewhere at a star.
Dip your toe in the water.
You don't want to embarrass the guy. You don't want to embarrass yourself with a guy just like, screw you. I'm not even talking to you anymore.
I know.
Sending me that crap.
No, then you just say, well, you could counter. How about this one? And then you throw the third and the second and all that at him, and then that's how it works.
Then he blocks you and posts it in chat.
Hey, that's fine. Somebody else will usually reach out and say, hey, man, I'm willing to do that for Marvin.
It's also always hard to find what people's values are in Dynasty Superflex, right? Because everybody has different views. So it's like, I thought that trade I sent to Ken was pretty good. It had a good trade cut rating and everything.
Oh my God!
I
would like to hear. Do you know what the trade was?
I don't remember
the actual offer.
Don't even, let's not go there. Just
exactly.
It was a first offer.
Nothing but love for you. I just love it.
So since we did get into that dynasty draft, the pod dynasty draft, maybe I'll talk to Alex and see if since it is redraft season, maybe we'll do I think Sean was talking about too. Maybe we'll do a pod, even though Ken hates it. Maybe we'll do a pod Superflex redraft. Look at Ken's face. He's like, I don't want to do a redraft.
He hates it.
He does. He hates it. So, but
it's because he doesn't get to do his shiesty trading.
So anyways,
look at his face.
He's like just shaking his head. So
there's so many times that I'm glad that we don't live in the same state. I'm sure Ken would just.
Don't worry, I'll be out in Vegas soon to come see you.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll get the boxing gloves out of storage.
Hey, at least we could bet on it.
Right?
All right. Well, that wraps up
Oh,
another
man.
episode of the Ballsville podcast. I want to thank my guests, Farmer Sean, El Super Bisto, and
Biesto.
back 10. I will be on hiatus next week, and you will have our producer Sarah will be in talking some auction. So if you're big on auction, come on and get in. I'd like to have Trevor back in Tortoise, and hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks to talk a little bit of the head chopping league. What's that called? The head chopping league,
The
Sean?
guillotine leagues,
Guillotine
baby.
leagues. Yeah, the head chopping
If you
leagues.
haven't heard of these guillotine leagues, look them up. They're amazing. They're a lot of fun, and we're hoping that there could be some good news soon for guillotine leagues.
And then, like I said, we all want to thank thank you, listeners. Like I said, this podcast is made for you guys. This is your podcast, and please like and subscribe to the podcast and leave comments. We'd love to answer questions from you guys that aren't able to make the live pod. So we really appreciate your support. We really want to grow this to a really, really good community, and we have a lot of good people on here that have a lot of really good knowledge when it comes to fantasy football. So until next week, Ballsville gamers, we are out.
That's a wrap.